first guest of the day on FT Live. Kratz, you want to intro your boy?
This is the 2004 Florida State League All-Star center fielder, Jayce Tingler.
Kratzy,
All right.
thank you.
Dude. And the second handsome, baldest man on this show.
The right hand right now with Rocco Baldelli and a great Twin Series, little sweep city. Obviously, we were going over the Toronto side, but first off, Jayce, let's get into what the last few days have been like for the ball club. And of course, you know, the big topic, especially for like the local news when they're not, locked in on baseball, is like, we got rid of these streaks and now we can just play ball. And at least I know the players weren't alive for a lot of this stuff or weren't paying attention to it, but at least they don't have to get asked the questions now in the clubhouse, and that's kind of nice.
I think that's spot on. I think to answer the question, how's it been the last couple of days? It's been wild. Really since the start of the second half, our group has played extremely well. We've had some young guys come up, whether it's Julian and Royce and Wallner and, our veterans are coming together. So for the second half, we've started to score runs. We've pitched it well all year. And now we're playing, what I think is really good baseball. And I think the best thing about it, yes, the streak is snapped, but it's really unbelievable to see just kind of a city come together. Target Field was rocking. You could feel the energy in the entire stadium, out around the stadium, walking after the game. And so anytime a city kind of just connects with the team, it's a really fun atmosphere, and we just want to keep it rolling.
Can you believe that they haven't won a playoff game in that city since we were in High A? Think back to High A. How does this stadium, how did it feel as you guys were, culminating these wins?
Well, a lot of our young players have certainly been asked the question throughout the year, so everyone was aware. I think the best way to answer that is I look at the organization and the men and women that have worked here for 20 plus years. And even after the first game, you saw almost some, tears of joy and just what a relief it was. And, we're kind of sitting in there in the coaching room and it's like, hey, we got one more. But you could just see, I don't want to call it pain of the last 20 years, but you could see a sense of joy for the people that had been here for a long time, and that feels really good.
You mentioned it right there about the second half. You guys kind of started coming together. I think it was Max Kepler had come out, and he was like, I don't really know what's going on, but since the second half, he was like, we're really kind of meshing. And he was like, it's not like we had clubhouse dysfunction. Can you put your finger on what he's talking about?
No, I don't think it's really one thing. I think if I was to sum it up, our pitching has been excellent all year. So let me start with that. Number two, we've got a young group, whether that's Kirilloff at first base, Julian, Royce. I'm going to throw Jefferson behind the plate at 25 years old. And I also want to say the men that we acquired, that the front office and the organization acquired during the offseason of veteran players and presence, whether that's Vasquez, whether that's Michael Taylor, Solano, Farmer, these guys have been tremendous. And so I think as the year's gone, we've just gotten to know each other better, and we've done things all year long. We have platooned and done pinch hitting. So I think once the guys kind of finally found their sweet spot and role, when they're going to be hitting, what to start to look for, I think everybody naturally got comfortable. And that would be my best explanation of things just kind of coming together.
So you're just winning. That's what you're saying. You guys are just winning more games than you're losing. That helps. So are you happy that you're missing your extra day of BP right now and doing the show? You're not out there. And are they, let me point to it right over here, are those champagne bottles behind you there? Are those little mementos?
So I literally snuck out of our workout and I snuck back to one of our clubby's office space. So I cannot tell you what Big Frank has back here, but it's a great setup.
And some Wheaties. I see some Wheaties back there. But anyway, we digress a little bit. How much does Royce be needing to jog and having a hamstring? Does that, not to use a pun, but does that hamstring you guys? Or do you guys feel like that's okay? Like he just needs to jog down the line and give what he gives, and he's going to hit some dingers for you.
The latter part. We are just pumped to have him back in our lineup. And so Rocco has sat down with him. Everybody's explained it to him. He's a ball of energy and said, look, it's more important for you to stay in the lineup than it is, to go sprinting down the line, trying to go 100% and possibly re-aggravate the hamstring. So that's going to be the challenging part for Royce going forward. And I think the big thing is about winning. We get today off, tomorrow off, and so each day Royce is getting healthier and healthier, and that's a good thing.
Hey, Jayce, let's go over yesterday just to get your perspective. When you did see Jose Barrios firing on all cylinders those first few innings and then taken out, what were your thoughts first off on how his stuff looked, and then what were guys saying in the dugout and what was going through your brain? Did you guys anticipate? Because I know everybody has like this perfect game plan of, hey, if everything goes the way we want, this is what it is. Were you guys like, whoa, we got shut out for 3 innings with really good stuff, and now he's taken out?
No, we weren't shocked at all. We were prepared for, honestly, 4 or 5 different scenarios. And so before the game, maybe 3 hours before the game, we sat down with some of our team and analytics team and coaches and said, hey, what are the likely scenarios? What's this going to look like? Obviously, they have to win to survive. So we went through 4 or 5 options. And so I felt like we were prepared. Obviously, you're watching the game and we've got the screen on in the bullpen and we can see who's getting up and going. And we kind of had the lanes where if they're going to throw a lefty or Kikuchi, we thought this would be in line. And so even before the game, we talked to Willie Castro and Solano and Farmer, a couple of the guys that come in against the lefties. And so we were prepared and we weren't surprised. As far as Barrios' stuff, it was good. It was, he was obviously amped up, juiced, had adrenaline. He was throwing the ball well. But to answer your question, I think we were prepared. We weren't surprised or shocked.
You as a manager, you're in that situation. You've been through these types of meetings. Do you feel like the discussion today all over the place is, so-and-so has too much of a say in these decisions? Do you feel like teams take the decision out of Schneid's hand there and like kind of give him like, well, this is the script and we have to stick to it?
I don't know. I can't speak for their case. I can say I know Schneid as you do, very well, and he's got tremendous feel for the game. I know Don Mattingly well, and one of the most respected men in the game. And Pete Walker obviously knows what he's doing over there. So I can't really, talk about what their approach was or anything like that. These are hard calls, and I think it's easy to second guess. It's easy to look up and like, oh, they shouldn't have pulled, Barrios. But what if Kepler comes up and doubles there, and we score 2 runs that way? Are you second guessing yourself? And I get it. You want to see Barrios continue to go. I don't know what the right answer is. We scored 2 runs. At the same time, we use analytics on our side, and we found matchups late in the game that that we were anticipating and we were hoping to get to. And so we won 2-0. We were able to score, and our pitchers and defense did a fantastic job.
I'm wondering, is there a fine line though between that? Because if the last few years we're hearing, or just there's been 4 or 5 games that the analytical side has been creeped in, and we're talking about it like now. The Snell one obviously is the most notable one, but there's so many situations where the analytics is getting talked about too much, opposed to, well, the manager did that decision. He wanted that was his feel. Rather, it's like, well, it came from upstairs. Upstairs never hit a baseball. I respect that. Is there like a fine line where it's becoming too much of a story that the analytical part, they're getting too much attention?
Yeah, I can only speak on what I've been a part of over here in Minnesota, and so I can't speak of everywhere. I can say here, um, even last year, my first year coming on, I was absolutely blown away at uh, everything they have put on Rocco's plate, and I mean that in the best way. Um, the front office stays really out of it, and we are provided so much information, and we talk through all scenarios before the game, and then at the end of the day, um, Rocco makes the call, and he uses his gut, and he uses his experience, and he uses his eyes, and he uses his staff, and he uses what he's seen live in the game, and he makes a call. And I think that is the healthiest way I've seen it ran. And this is the third organization I've been with, and I really hats off to the Minnesota Twins and the organization.
We talk so much about teams losing like a leader, catcher behind the dish, and then the next year the team regresses. Tell us about this play that Correa made. He's not behind the dish, but supposedly Correa called this. Jeffers made the pitch come and got an enormous, maybe one of the biggest pickoffs of a base runner since I think it was Tommy Pham that got picked off at first base when he pinch ran for the Cardinals. I'm not sure if it was Tommy Pham or not.
I think it was Colton Wong, if I remember right.
Colton Wong, you're right. You're right. Colton Wong.
Yeah, it was just rookie year when he got called up. Yeah.
Yep. And so tell us the impact of that play, but also the impact that Carlos Correa brings to this team.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. Let me first start with the play. It's a play. I think Sonny said we got a guy maybe in Tampa earlier this year. I don't know if that's right. It's a play we put in spring training, and if we tried it 7 times this year, it sure felt like we were 0 for 7. Now it was the perfect combination. Correa noticing these things, but before, basically in the first and second inning, we were talking about the crowd noise. And then Sonny, as good of a pitcher he is unbelievable at the PFP work. He takes pride and control in the running game. He works on his picks. He's unbelievable at those things. And so, and Vladdy's having to get off, being the tie and run with Bichette there at the plate, who's already 2 for 2. And so with the crowd noise, just them being able to signal in the play, having the freedom to signal in the play, it was an unbelievable call. And then Sonny Gray, there's very few pitchers that when they get that call, they're going to spin. They're probably not going to throw. Sonny is bold and brave enough and just loves the moment. He fired, and we were able to get there, which was, I think, a huge, huge momentum play.
Correa goes back.
Say it again.
The next series is Correa's going. You guys got Houston. Yep. He's going back there where it all started. What can he bring to your team in terms of experience? Because he's been there many times, obviously with that team. But what can he bring his experience to some of the young guys and some of the veterans that you guys do have?
Yeah, just continuing to be himself. And what I mean by that is before we started the playoffs, the first game at Toronto, I think right after our hitters meeting, Carlos kind of, stood up and said what he needed to say, which was all about playoff baseball and his experiences. And so we've got a young group, and we've got some really good veteran leadership. And our young guys are eager to learn. They're certainly not scared, and they're not afraid to ask questions. And our veteran group is really a group of just loving men and teachers, and they're not afraid to share. So that's a really good combination. Carlos's experience, what he does defensively, what he's doing at the plate, just his overall presence. I think he gives us a lot of confidence knowing how many games he's played and performed in the playoffs.
So, Jayce, Carlos has been on this show and spent a lot of time with us, and I thought it was really interesting because we have more time sometimes on this show than you would say like on just basic TV. And he went over how in depth his preparation, research, how serious he takes the mentoring component, how much he realizes that he comes with all of this experience, and that's like part of his paycheck, which is super cool. So the next layer for me is your game planning for the Astros. Obviously, there's tons of turnover with many teams, but there are still dudes that he knows about. There's organizational strategies that he knows about. And you see this during the regular season all the time. How helpful, how, extra coach-ish is Carlos going to be for this series?
Well, I think it's Carlos who knows that organization in and out as well as anybody that's currently outside the organization. And we also have Christian Vasquez, who caught for them down the stretch last year. So we're certainly going to get their input into the game plan and and kind of go from there. So we're getting ready to get on a flight here in an hour, and that's where a lot of the heavy work or the heavy lifting of the game planning is going to be done over the next 24 hours.
What's the one thing that you've learned since you've been over with the Twins, since getting fired from the Padres, now that you're over with the Twins, that you're going to take into your next managerial job, that you're like, holy cow, why did I not do that when I was a manager?
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I've got going on right now. So this is my fourth time in the playoffs, 15, 16, 20, and now. And I told Rocco and I told the staff the first three times I was focused, I was laser focused, I was intense. I was seeing things right here, and you know what? I didn't enjoy it. So this run, I told Rocco, I said, we're prepared. We're going to play great ball if we're loose and we're having fun. And one challenge I gave him, one challenge I gave our coaching staff is enjoy it. And now I'm noticing, I'm taking time, I'm looking up in the stands, I'm seeing an electric stadium. I'm seeing just big moments. I'm seeing things different than when I was just so under pressure and just trying to stay in the moment. I'm enjoying it and just having a hell of a time on this run.
I don't want to keep harping about the Padres and all that because it's all positive and good news is what's going on with the Twins right now. And we've beat them down on this show, and let's beat them down a little bit more. So their year this year, obviously not the expectations that everybody wanted. Do you still talk to anybody in the organization? Any that you keep track with, and what's your thoughts on the Padres? Not so good year.
I text, keep in contact with some of the players. Certainly when they're hitting accomplishments in the game, or signing contracts, anything like that. I reached out, but to be honest with you, us being in the American League and the American League Central, I've really just kind of stayed focused on everything going on over here and truly enjoying my time over here.
Jayce, all right, so let's swing it back to the Twin Series for a second here. First off, in that last round, is there anyone else that kind of stood out to you that was soaking in the moment? Because you still have a young team and many guys that weren't making the postseason where, you can be an impact. Like, can you take us inside any types of conversations leading up to this? I know sometimes people, baseball fans, almost like get the football brain where it's like, there's just big speeches going on all the time. And we know in baseball, that's not really how it works. So those little one-on-one combos are often the ones that can make a really big difference, especially for a young guy, right?
Yeah, a lot of our guys, it's been training throughout the year. It's not like, okay, now we've got to do something. It's been, gentlemen, we're going to do exactly what we've been doing, basically since the start of the second half. We're going to plan the same. We're going to prepare the same. We're going to enjoy one another. We're going to continue to have fun. We're going to be in an environment where it's okay to be aggressive and make mistakes. And we're going to be loose and have fun. And what happens from there is going to happen. And I think with that mindset, I think we played really solid baseball just on the fact that we're loose. We're drawing off a ton of energy. Everything's so magnified in the playoffs. And the guys are, honestly, they're having some of the funnest times playing this beautiful sport of baseball than they've ever had in their life.
How hard was it? Or what went into the decision? You don't have to give the extreme details of it, but what went into the decision, and very tough decision, of not having Brian Buxton on the playoff roster? A franchise player, a fan favorite. Obviously, he's battled some unfortunate injuries throughout his career. But how hard was that to not have him out there? Because we all know he's such an impactful player when he's on that roster.
It's crushing to see. What the people watching this show don't understand is all the time and effort he's sinking in to get healthy and get going. To answer your question, he had a minor setback as he was taking some batting practice and shagging, and so that ended up, unfortunately, making the decision fairly easy. He's back and working again, and I know it's bittersweet for him to see just the weight lifted off the team and certainly his shoulders with the playoff win and the series win. But also it's heartbreaking because he would do anything, give anything to be out there with his team.
Another strength of your team that I think America needs to figure out if they didn't know, because pretty much only baseball fans and Twins fans know of the strength. I mean, seriously, like you call that bullpen and you're like, yeah, whatever. You just get up whoever, because they're all going to throw 99 except for Caleb. Thielbar's throwing just poo ball 95 up there from the left side. Like, you guys have an unbelievable bullpen, and I feel like people do not understand it. What's it like to have that constantly just on the reg?
Kratz, I wish you wouldn't talk about it because I feel like it's a secret weapon, and you're right, people don't talk about it. I think just in general, I think there's a lot of power arms in the games, but you look at what our bullpen has done, not just as of late, but really all throughout the year. It feels like a lot of people don't know exactly who, Duran and Jackson, Brock Stewart, and Thielbar, and I'm missing guys. Pagan's had a phenomenal year, and we feel like we got some real weapons down there, and they've been good for us all year, and I totally agree with your point. I don't think a lot of people know about them.
All right, one thing we need to know, though. Gosman, the other day, the 2 homers, was he tipping?
No, he wasn't tipping. I mean, like, we had one guy hit 2 homers.
Jayce,
yes,
we are friends.
Yes, he was tipping that he was going to throw a 97-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside part line, and Royce knew it, opened the hips, and went. Yep.
Thank you, Jayce, for making a mockery of something that people were saying, and we can't. Like, the next day, we were talking about it on the show, and it was like, seriously, like he was.
People
tipping.
Were saying that
on the broadcast. You don't hear the broadcast because you're in the game, like unless you're a big ESPN in the ear guy. But like they were saying that. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, they have 2 hits. If a big league team, I don't care if it's the worst big league team, if a guy is tipping and they know what's coming, it's not going to be 2 dingers. It's going to be rockets all over the ballpark.
Did he stop tipping the inning he struck out the side? Did he clean it up?
Yeah, he figured it out. It was here or here. You know who said he was tipping? It was the mate, Paul Elliott.
Paul Elliott, big shout out.
Inside joke.
That's part of why we do this show, though. Like, you hear that on a broadcast if you're a fan or you're just catching playoff baseball for the first time, and it's like, oh, well, now I know. The Twins clearly can't have a player that hits 2 home runs. I mean, they clearly knew something.
We only told Royce that was part of the deal. The other 8 guys were like, no.
I felt like that's how it was. I felt like that's how it was when I played. Like, I'd watch like the superstars like Jonesy play, and I was like, man, they know what pitches are coming. Why don't they ever tell me?
Those Oriole teams only told Adam. That was it.
That was it. Especially on the first pitch of an at-bat.
Exactly.
He always knew what was coming. Or when he was just always swinging, whichever it was.
That's good. Good way to finish. Hey, Jayce, awesome to have you on here for the first time. Really appreciate it. Love the combo. And keep doing your thing. We're watching. Good luck.
All right. Thanks for having me. See you
guys. Hey, Jayce, before you go, sorry. Good luck in your last year with Minnesota whenever you get one of the managerial openings.
No chances, buddy.
Hey, And if there's a fight, don't go running out. Just jog. We can't be blowing out no
man,
hammies.
Don't show that hammy video, man.
Yeah. The Bautista and Rugi, man.
My hamstring's still messed up today, man.
I'm sure it is. Good to see you, Jayce.
All right, good seeing you. You guys be good.
You too. Thank you, Jayce. That's all.